Hey, welcome back. Let's talk about gates and limiters. If you've never used them before, you're in for a treat. If you have used them before, you might still be in for a treat because I use them in kind of a different way than a lot of people, or I guess in the different way that I learned to use them. Real quickly, what is a gate? What is an expander? A gate is essentially, and you'll hear them used interchangeably, both gates and expanders. Let me put one on this track here. Here's an expander. It looks a lot like a compressor. It's got a threshold, a ratio, an attack, and a release, but it also has this range feature. So what an expander does and what a gate does is it actually does the opposite of a compressor. So if a compressor is something that turns a signal down when it gets above a certain level, a gate or an expander is something that turns the signal down when it gets below a certain level. So for example, the popular use of gates is on a drum kit. Let's say you've got a snare drum mic and it's picking up bleed from the rest of the kit. So the only time you really want to hear that mic is when the drummer hits that tom. And so what do? You can go in and edit it, and that's fine, or you can use a gate to go in and when the level gets above a certain level. So when he hits that tom, if you mic'd it correctly, then the signal should be noticeably louder when he hits the tom, okay? And you can set the trigger of that gate to when the drummer hits the tom and it gets to that level, it lets the signal through. And then when it goes down below that level where you're not really hearing the tom anymore, it turns the signal down. So let me show you how that works on a vocal here that I recorded. Here is the dry vocal as it was recorded. Now, something you should know about this, I recorded this with this microphone I'm using right now, but I turned on my ceiling fan on high. So there's a lot of noise in the room. I wanted to record a really noisy source so you could hear how it works, I can show you how the expander and gate work on a noisy source. So consider if you're doing voiceover work ever, this is a really valuable tip. Or imagine if the noise in the background is drum bleed and you're trying to get rid of that. The concept is still the same. So here's that audio. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Okay, so if you couldn't hear that, I'll turn it up maybe just a smidge so you can hear the noise. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so there's just a low level noise there. And you're probably hearing some of that through my mic too, but there's a gate on this as well actually. But there's just a lower level of noise. So since it's kind of quiet, I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio. So you hear that sound. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry, it took me a while to get that to the level where you can hear it. So what an expander does is, let me turn the expander on. We set a threshold. So at what level is it going to start turning things down? The range tells us how much is it going to turn it down, and the ratio kind of tells us how quickly is it going to turn it down. Is it going to do it slowly over time, or is it going to turn it down fairly quickly? So let's just play around with this. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate. Okay, so let's make it dramatic. So what we're saying here is when the signal drops below negative 1.2, it is turning the signal down by 47 dB over a ratio of 1 to 5.5. So it's turning it down fairly steeply. So listen what happens when I bring it down. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio. It sounds kind of cool. What's happening there is the volume of my voice is right there, right in the middle of the threshold. So it's going above and below, and it's turning things down. So I need to get just below that, so I'm catching all the words, and only the in-between phrases are being turned down. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. So what you're hearing at the beginning, all the words I'm saying are kind of muffled at the beginning. That's because when the expander turns off and lets the signal come back through, the attack time is taking a little time to actually let the signal through. So I turn the attack all the way down and then leave the release at fairly slow. So it turns the signal down gently, but when it needs to turn the signal back up, it does it quickly. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so you can see when it's turning the signal down by this gain reduction here. Now, what's the point of an expander versus a gate? The main difference here is that it can turn it down on more of a slope. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. So I'll be honest with you, I don't use expanders all that much because all this extra control I feel like isn't really helpful for me because once it drops below the threshold, I usually want it to turn it down and stay down. So I don't want it to gradually turn down, but I wanted to show it to you. Essentially, as you adjust the ratio, it just adjusts how quickly it's going to start turning it down or how much it's going to turn it down. So as the signal drops below this level, we can kind of see where the volume is going to be. So I just wanted you to see that. Honestly, I don't use an expander that much. What I do use a lot is a gate. Now, a gate has a lot of the same controls. It's got attack, release, which normally I set the attack to very quickly because I want the signal to jump right through. It's got a hold feature, so how long does it hold the signal before it allows it to start turning the signal back down? For example, if you know that the resonance of your snare is about 50 milliseconds, that you really want to make sure that gets through, it'll hold the gate open for about 50 milliseconds, then it'll start closing, and the speed at which it closes is set by the release. Now, you've got an open and a close knob here. I usually just mess with the open knob. And then the range is the most important part for me. The range tells me once the signal gets below the threshold, how much do we turn it down? Now, normally we're used to hearing a gate that turns the signal down entirely. It essentially turns it off. And here's what that sounds like. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Okay, so that you can hear any space between the audio, it turns it all the way off. It sounds like I went in and actually edited the audio and removed any dead silence. And that's fine, but I find that doesn't sound very natural. Real quickly, let's throw an EQ and a compressor on here. EQ just to make it sound a little more pretty. Compressor to really get the loudness up. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio. So the reason I've got a compressor, I'm going to compress it a little more heavily just so it brings up the room noise, because that's an example of what you would do with something like this. So here we go. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate. Okay, obviously that's too much compression, but I wanted to show you, if you compress it heavily and it sounds good, what you're going to notice is the room noise is a lot louder. Here's without compression. Hey everybody, this is... Let me play you a silent part here. What a gate does. What a gate does. So without compression, there's not a ton of noise. What a gate. With compression, what a gate. Whoosh, you hear that? What a gate. That's a lot of noise. And so that's the problem when you're recording in a home studio. If you have some noise in your room, it's okay. But then when you use compression, suddenly you're hearing a lot of noise. And that can start to show up in your recordings, especially if you're having to use heavy compression, which is certainly sometimes necessary for a certain type of track. So that's where I feel like gates can come in. I use them all the time on vocals. For stuff like this, that's a voiceover track where I'm just needing to hear, I need to hear the voice and I need it to sound like it's in a vocal booth. Or for times when there's too much sound in the mix of a song between phrases of a vocal and I want it to go down. I'll do the same thing for drums and things like that. There's just lots of uses for a gate. And that's kind of the background story. I talked about this to my newsletter list. This is a great way to get a fake vocal booth. When you have all that noise that you would maybe not have if you had a vocal booth, use a gate to get rid of it. Okay, so back to the gate. Now that we've turned up the vocal and thereby the noise by using a lot of compression, now we can use a gate to turn that dead space down. So let's start back at the beginning. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio. Okay, so it still sounds fake. Those spots turn down way too much. We can increase the release, which means it's going to slowly turn it down, but it's still going to sound weird. Take a listen. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so you can hear it going getting quieter. You could hear the breath between phrases. It's just weird. And if I came in and deleted that audio, it would sound weird too because it drops off too much. That's where I get a lot of people saying, hey, Joe, what if I just come in here, select that audio, and just delete it? What if I just do that? Is that okay? Well, you tell me. StudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of... It's got that same idea. It turns things down. Let me stretch it out just a bit. .com, and I'm just... It's just, it drops off entirely. It doesn't sound natural. So that's why you hear a lot of voiceover guys will do different things with room tone, because they know that they need some of that room tone to make it sound normal. If that room sound goes away entirely, it sounds weird. So we mess with the release. That still doesn't sound right. The opening of the threshold is fine, which is what this open control is. Open and close, which we won't really dial into that. Just deal with the open. That's really all that matters. So the only other thing left to adjust is the range. So right now it's turning it way down. Turning it way down between phrases. .com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio. Gets dead quiet. So if we turn the range all the way up, what happens? .com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio. Okay, nothing. We hear all this noise. What happened if we just turned it down by maybe 10 dB? Let's see what that sounds like. .com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can... So now the noise gets turned down 10 dB, but it's not going away entirely. Let's take it down to maybe 14 dB. See what that sounds like. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Okay, so that sounds a little more extreme. Let's bring it back up to maybe the 9 or 10 dB. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Okay, so let's go through those pauses one more time. Here's what it sounds like with the threshold way down. So the sample audio, so you hear how that's just dead quiet over here too. Run it through a gate. So run it through a gate. Just sounds unnatural. By using the range properly and just turning it down by 10 dB, it's as if our room was treated and there wasn't that much noise. Run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. And maybe not even that much. Maybe we just do 6 dB. Run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. All right, so that I could still hear the noise quite a bit, maybe 8 dB. Run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Because the noise is always there. It's not like the noise is only there when I'm not speaking, but you don't hear it over my voice because my voice is so much louder than the noise. So you only hear the noise and the gaps between the audio. So by adding a gate and just turning down the in-between sections by 8 dB, you could do this with automation, but it would take forever. If you know what you're doing, you could pull up a gate and set it up in about 2 seconds, and that'll save you from going in and having to automate or edit or do anything like that, and it still sounds good. So let's listen from the top. Here it is without a gate, and then I'll play it with the gate. And I'm going to turn it up maybe a little bit more so you can hear it. But just take a listen to how much better it sounds. And again, this was a poorly recorded source. This was recorded in an extra loud room where I had my fan on, and we still made it sound very close to a vocal booth. Now imagine if it was a normal recording with the fan being off and in a fairly quiet room that just has a little bit of noise, then you can even get more aggressive with compression, and you can use this gating to gate out some of that noise. Let's take a listen. Here it is without the gate, and then I'll play it right back through with the gate. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Hey everybody, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I'm just recording a little bit of sample audio so that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Hey everybody, this is Joe. So there you have it. Is it perfect? No. Might want to maybe make the release a little bit longer so that those end phrases and breaths don't sound quite as abrupt like right here. Run it through a gate so that we can run it through a gate so you maybe even a little bit longer. So that we can run it through a gate so you can hear what a gate does. Yeah, something like that. Maybe it's a little long. But as you can hear, it sounds much better than you'd expect it to sound. This is just one of those cute little tools that you need to have in your grab bag. If you're not doing any voiceover stuff, at some point somebody is going to probably ask you to do some sort of recording of just a speaking vocal. And this is a great tool to have. Use a dynamic microphone like I'm using right now that doesn't pick up a lot of extra noise. And then make sure the room is nice and quiet, make sure the room is treated, do all of those things. But then if you still get some noise, which you just will from time to time, you can use a gate to take care of that. I use gates all the time for these videos. I don't know if you knew this, but there's a gate on my console that I'm recording my voice with. There, the gate's off. You can hear me turning it off and on right now. So yeah, that's how my room sounds. It's a lower level noise. But I've got a gate on, so when I'm not talking, it's turning the signal down a little bit, maybe 6 dB. So it doesn't sound weird, and it lets my voice come back through without you even noticing. So you probably just thought I had a quiet room. Turns out I don't. See, I'm in a home studio just like you, and it's a bedroom that's been converted. It's treated well. I've got nice mics, nice preamps and everything, but I still deal with noise, and it's not the end of the world. I love recording, and I'm not going to let a little bit of noise get in my way. So here's a great tool for you to use. Again, as with all things, go practice it. Make sure that you understand how your gates and expanders work, and then start using it. All right, that's it for gates and expanders. Hope this was helpful for you.